And let's go to aviation attorney Brian Alexander for more. Brian, you've flown military helicopters along these DCA area routes. So what can you tell us about this airspace and the runways there?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. And of course, I extend my sympathies to the families. I think as someone who represents them, I want to say the most important thing is to not overly speculate and to get to the hard, cold facts as soon as possible for several reasons. One, to inform the families of what happened and why. And then second, as you're pointing out, to make sure it doesn't happen again. If I could just paint the scene there in this corridor, as you've reported already, you know, this is frequently used by the military. It has been for decades, really without incident. But it's a heavily congested area, and I think what will be borne out in the next couple days, weeks, and months is the specific circumstances here, particularly in relation to the communications between air traffic and the helicopter pilot, the specific mission that they were on, whether they were wearing night vision goggles or not, and what it was they were visually perceiving. As it's been reported, and I think it likely might be true, that the pilots in the helicopter may have mistook the call out from air traffic control for a different aircraft, which is conceivable if you're familiar with this particular area. You've got aircraft stacking up for miles coming in from the south to the north on runway 1, and then all of a sudden we pull one aircraft out to circle to land on runway 33. As we have the helicopter traffic coming north to south on the other side of the corridor. That's going to be important in terms of the specific call out to the helicopter pilot about the American Eagle jet. And combined with that will be, again, the altitude that the helicopter was at. That's a pretty rigid, strict 200 feet and below. We've heard various reports on that. Once that is corroborated and determined, that'll shed a lot of light, I think, on exactly what happened and what were contributing factors to the accident.
Now, a source with direct knowledge confirms that the air traffic controller on duty was doing a job normally done by 2 controllers. How concerning is that?
Well, that's very concerning, and it's emblematic of something that myself and aviation safety advocates all over the country have been pointing out and writing about. I wrote an article in 2023 about this very specific same issue. The system has been blinking red at several levels. You know, the inadequate staffing, the experience gap that has been created in the last decade, real experienced controllers leaving, and the time to get the experience required for the substitute controllers not being adequate. And then you've got a technology lag with the equipment that they're using. Again, every decade or so, you need to upgrade that. I think we're lagging on that, all a function of under funding and overstaffing. So those things are very, very relevant to the competency of the controllers. And the same is true for pilots. You know, there are issues there about the adequacy of training and the skills and experience of pilots, both in the military and commercially. It's a system that is dependent upon the various layers of protection, and it's the whole system now that needs to be looked at with greater scrutiny. And I hope that the government finally wakes up to recognize that and addresses it with much more vigor than they have.
The NTSB now has the black boxes from the plane. What do you think we'll learn from them?
Well, you know, the aircraft, I think I heard one of your reporters astutely point out that if things are the way they appear to be, the black boxes from the jet may be much less significant and helpful to the investigation. It's like when you're in an emergency room, you need to rule out things and rule in things. So you'll look at that information from the cockpit voice recorder. You'll look at the flight data from the jet. But the similar information on the Blackhawk, assuming it has a flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, that will be much more helpful. But there are other recordings that will shed light. There's radar data that will, once corroborated, shed a lot of light on what happened. And then they'll be looking at not only the human factors, but some other issues if they arise. For example, what the impact may have been for the night vision goggles. And I think, again, the uniqueness of the approach here, pulling the jet out to come to runway 33, circle to land, putting it in greater proximity to the helicopter, and the call out communications, I think that will be scrutinized by the board.
All right, aviation attorney Brian Alexander. Brian, thank you.